Okay, so I guess what I'm doing in this episode is I'm kind of arguing to myself of why I don't think Kanye's crazy. So there's been debates about is Kanye considered crazy. Now, I don't think Kanye is considered crazy, but we're gonna look into all of this. We'll look into all of this after, see if we have any sponsors. But we're gonna look right into this and talk about is Kanye crazy. But overall, I do think this opens a bigger discussion on Kanye's music, but also his impact on what he has done, right? Because Kanye is considered a legend, and he, in his own mind, he is a legend of the game, of rap, of hip hop, of everything that he's done, right? So I'm gonna look a deeper dive into this Kanye and what really is Kanye, and is he crazy or not? Which I don't think is. Disclaimer: not trying to ruin an image or anything, but I'm gonna look at his music catalog and see if everything lines up, or is he what people believe he is, or is it just his way of coping? But we'll get right into all that after we see if we got a word from our sponsor. But we'll see. Okay, so the opening question, or the name of this episode will probably be, "Is Kanye West crazy?" Right? But it's also because we don't talk about Kanye enough as an artist, right? So the brief summary of Kanye is he grew up in Chicago, right? And at first he didn't want to be a rapper, so he went to a lot of art. He met a lot of people. He met Jamie Foxx. He's met Jay-Z, and this was coming off of working with Jay-Z for, I believe it is the Blueprint 1 and the Blueprint 2. But we're going to talk about the Blueprint 1 that Kanye is claimed for producing, which Kanye at that time was an amazing producer coming out of Chicago, and people didn't see him as a rapper because it was rarely done. Like, you didn't have rappers that were producers, right? Nowadays you can have both. Like J. Cole, you can have both. But at this time in rap, it was very weird. It was very strange for an artist to be a rapper, but also be a producer or a beat maker, or overall control what he was putting out. And so Jay-Z drops the Blueprint series. Kanye's trying to get signed off of the blueprint that the beats for the blueprint that he made, right? He's trying to get that credit. He's trying to sign to a label. And some of these labels he didn't really get to sign to, which is a little absurd that they didn't sign him. So he said, "I'm going to show them better than I can tell them." So he did this. He did Watch the Throne with with Jay Z, and you Watch the Throne. Watch the Throne is an album where and Jay Z and Jay Z and Kanye West released, but this is in 2011. So I'm going a little further. Um, but the question is, what is like? That's the thing. So Kanye being Kanye, Kanye's had a record of hits and a lot of songs that have come out, or albums that have come out that people do not understand. And I think to start that off, of albums that explain Kanye's state of mind. And this is weird because in order to call Kanye crazy, we would have to say at some point he was sane, or at some point he had gone down a rough road. And his first album, which was College Dropout, which people love to this day, and the most loved song on it is Jesus Walks. Now, this is this was Kanye's perspective on college. You get roughly through here, you kind of listen, and Kanye isn't the hugest fan of this belief of college in 2004, which was very strange to be like, okay, I don't believe going the college route would help, because there was this mixed view on the world that if you didn't have a college degree, or if you had a college degree, either you were wasting money or you weren't going to get anything out of it. Which, that's another discussion for another day. But then we get halfway through this album, and it's like song 19 is called "Through the Wire," right? In which Kanye, which Kanye sounds crazy because so this is, I've heard from people that when you get your mouth wired shut because of breaking your teeth or something like that, teeth fractures are normally what they're for, but you can probably get your mouth shut for a lot of different reasons on wired. They were saying he wasn't going to be able to eat like normal food, but he also, they said it might be impossible to rap. So through the wire, it might be his way of being okay. Well, I'm trapped. I am locked in a room, and I'm gonna try to rap because it opened up the different way of rapping, which we didn't get a lot from rappers. And then the second one is Family Business, where Kanye isn't an artist where he goes, okay, well, this happened and it didn't, right? Like, some of the stuff he says happens, and the majority of the time it does happen, right? But in Family Business, he says that one of his cousins took his laptop. He had to pay $500 for it, right? Now, granted, I know people are gonna be like, well, the family dynamic is normally not is not always great and not for all families, which is true. I think not there's no example of a perfect family like on Mr. Roger. There's no perfect family. We have families more like My Wife and Kids. We don't really have like the perfect family where everything's perfect. Everyone's making like a perfect income. No one has anything to worry about. Like, that's rare, right? Like, that's rare. It's extremely rare. And I think that's what the whole point of Family Business being released was. He was trying to say, hey, this happened to me, and this is why, right? Like, these are why it's happening to me, and things happen, right? But then we get to the last song called "Last Call," where him and Jay-Z are talking for approximately 12 minutes, right? And Jay-Z makes this line, right? Because him and Jay-Z and Kanye have been going back for years. Kanye, Dame, and Jay-Z have been arguing for years on and off, right? So on the last call, Kanye talks about the blueprint, because I think he said something about disrespectful about Jay-Z's wife, which is why Jay-Z comes out and says, hey, I had to kick a lot of people out of the room because they don't mess with you. Which, at the time, a lot of people didn't want to mess with Kanye. A lot of labels, a lot of artists, a lot of producers didn't want to mess with Kanye because they were like, it might be too risky. Right? But you had people like Luda, Jay-Z, Consequence, all of these rappers, and Jamie Foxx, that wanted to be on a Kanye album, I guess, to see what it was like. And apparently College Dropout did amazing numbers because they reached out to him, they reached out to Kanye for the next album of the album of the next year, which is my personal favorite. It's called Late Registration, where Kanye mashes all of this up, where he has a lot of different features on it, right? Where he's really talking about situations where we talked about gold diggers, where at one time I believe he had a girlfriend that only wanted to be with him for money. But this could be a lot of different things. This could be a lot of different things about this song. And then he has Adam Levine on his second song that says, I heard him say, like, he's hearing a lot of people say stuff about Kanye, and he was like, well, I'm gonna answer to it. And he does. He answers it in the only way Kanye does. He answers it in a song where he's talking about, hey, they said that, but we gonna do the opposite. We gonna make it better. So he was like, well, um, they said I was they said I was crazy, but I'm not really crazy. Or they said I'm a producer, and I'm not only a producer. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So to say is he crazy, right? And I've heard people say, well, Kanye is crazy. I don't think he is. And the only reason I did College Dropout is to show you the two differences between College Dropout and Late Registration. So Late Registration being an album is weird because we have a song called Roses on this song where he's talking about the laws of his grandmother, where he's like, they don't want to help me, but they want an autograph. And just because she worked for the church doesn't mean she can't get help. And I think he's describing in his own words like the medical profession in America, where they charge you like $1,000 for the hospital, and then they keep charging you. Which is, I guess, that's his take on the American hospital system, where he's like, most celebrities will get, if you're a celebrity, you get everything, you get all the nicks, you get all the cranies, and you get everything that you need. But if you're like a normal person that work for the church exactly, you don't necessarily get that. Why is that? And I think it's him realizing and also dealing with the loss of his grandmother. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a huge Kanye historian, but I think he lost her. I think he did. And then losing his mother is why he created Donda. But overall, I think we've all had somebody that, if we haven't, we will at some point have it, where somebody has died and it affects us. So then there's this other song on here that's called Hey Mama, where he's just talking about how great his mother is, right? But people say that she talked to him a different way because they could tell he had issues. Now allegedly he's bipolar, but you have to understand, if you're going through a lot of grief or a lot of dark or different situations in your life, there's only a few ways you can outlet that anger, that frustration. Anything you're really going through, it's very hard to deal with it in the ways that people think, oh, well, and especially with guys, it's a stereotype of if they talk about it, or if they let it out, or if they cry about it, or if they show any emotion, then it's considered weakness. Now, with that stereotype, you get Kanye that's like, okay, well, I'm going to go against the grain, because Kanye's always going against the grain, and he makes a song about it. And people dealing with it can, listen to the song and go, that's really catchy, because that kind of explains what I'm going through right now. So, that's my thing. I don't think he's crazy. I just think his way of talking or grieving about things is through his outlets, right? So, it's hard for me to say Kanye is extremely crazy, because I don't think Kanye is extremely crazy. Now, I think he's a very free-spirited. I think he's a very much person that if he wants to say something, he's gonna do it in his own way. He's gonna grieve. He's gonna speak in his own way. He doesn't really care. And I think now there are pros and cons to all of that situations. And I think that is the problem. Like, I think we've come to a society where we don't necessarily understand where a lot of people handle a lot of different situations differently. Like, there used to be this thing where, no disrespect to anybody's religion or anybody's beliefs, but you're supposed to wear black. If you're in grieving, white if you're in mourning, and some people do that. Some people really don't. I think it's more of a individual person based or religion based, which Kanye is something that it's very difficult to be like, this is the main reason Kanye is the way he is. Like, I think that's the thing. We talk about how he wanted contracts with Rockefeller. He wanted contract. He wanted a contract. He wanted to be on a record label. And at the time, the only big record label was Rockefeller, because it had Jay, it had Cam, it had Cameron, it had Jay Z. I think it had, and I think Dane was running it at the time, right? But Dame didn't want to sign Kanye, right? Like, it's crazy. But then in 2005, he takes a two a 2 year break and does one of his critically acclaimed, one of his best albums, Graduation. And Graduation, he tries to make the reconnection with Jay Z on the song Big Brother, which is weird because he also has on this song where you can't tell me nothing, right? Like, it's kind of being like, well, yeah, we see public opinion, but the public opinion ain't really gonna change me. Which I think that's what we overall, I think that's what we got today in like our society. I think that's what we got. We had the Kanye that was like, I don't care what the world says, I'm gonna deal with it my own way. Now, in 2008, he releases a song called Heartbreak, but it's on the album 808 and Heartbreak, right? So Kanye was at that time, I think he just got out of a relationship. And he couldn't figure out how to handle the situation. So he talks about the life he lives, and throughout the song, he just really talks about how don't let heartbreak change you and stuff like that. And I think that goes without saying that if, heartbreak lasts for a little bit, but when you get over it, you kind of feel better, you kind of feel more free. And I think that's exactly what Kanye did. He tried to become more free, and he did it, right? Like, that was his overall goal, was to become more free. Now, this is where I'm saying, and this backs to my other point. My other point is Kanye, whatever he's dealing with, he talks about it in his songs, right? So whatever it is, he's always on Instagram. So there was a thing that if you had a dark twisted fantasy, you weren't supposed to say it out loud. He made a song, Dark Twisted Fantasy, right? He talked about power. He talked about a power that anybody can hold. That you don't want to hold in all your power, because you can, when you let your power go and you use your power for good, you can do amazing things. You let it go for bad, you can do bad things. But that was the whole point of that. He did a song also on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasies that was called The Devil in a Red Dress. Now, I don't think I need to justify it, but I will say it this way, and I mean no offense to women. He's saying everything that's beautiful isn't necessarily good, which it sounds a little biblical. Not everything is what it seems would be the non-biblical sense of it, or don't judge a book by its cover. Because if I am not wrong, I think he liked Amber Rose. I believe that's what it was. And so he made that song, which look at it now, knowing what I know now, that's kind of a weird concept. But he just talks about he just kind of really talks about his view on the world. Like, everyone views the girl, the guy, or whatever, they view them as beautiful, and they don't really look that, hey, it's just a distraction, or it's just a disguise to keep you off the track, or the path you were supposed to be going on, which, as I said, that does sound a little biblical, but he's really just speaking his mind. And then we have, I want to say, The Life of Pablo. And, we have Yeezus, which was bound to where he's just talking about love, with Charlie Wilson on the background vocals. He's also a hidden feature on this song. But then we have The Life of Pablo, which The Life of Pablo is very is where we get his whole take on relationships, like 30 hours, that Kanye is in love with himself. He doesn't really care if people like the old Kanye. He's gonna be himself, and his growing self will never be part of the mainstream. He also gives a song about feedback, which I think is okay. He talks about real friends, of how people deal with situations that they might not always be around you, they might not always contact you, but you know your real friends when you know you need something and they'll contact you right away. Which is true. I think we've gotten to the concept where, well, I want to say after high school, it's really you know your friends are dealing with something, and so you might not hear from them for 4 or 5 days, but you know you called them about something. You know if they know you need them, if they know if they know you need them, and they show up without a thought. It could be like, hey, I ain't got no gas. They come get you. They get the gas tank, come help you out. But it's not necessarily like um I might not come to your birthday party, or I might not we might not spend a lot of time together, but you know if it's something serious, I'm always there for you. And I think that is the thing. I think, and it's so weird because I think you it's weird because we get into this Kanye mindset of, okay, so what are we talking about? And then he talks about 30 hours, which is on the life of Pablo, which if you haven't heard it, I would say go listen to, because it is amazing. He just talks about how he drove 30 hours to see a girl, and they broke up because she couldn't. And long story short, it's about a long distance relationship that Kanye and the girl was in, and it didn't work out because she wanted somebody close to her, and Kanye was doing his own thing. And I think that's when he was in Los Angeles working, trying to get that deal with Rockefeller, or in New York working with Jay Z. Which, and I think that's the thing. Kanye has done so many great things for other artists. It's kind of hard for me to go, Kanye's crazy, right? Like, it's, now it might seem far fetched. So in 2018, we had we had two albums drop, which was Ye, where he was talking about. I think he was dealing with. I think this is where he was dealing with depression, and he just talks about he thought about killing himself, which is a dark topic in itself. And if you if you think about that, um, please reach out to a hotline, somebody that you know, because that is a dark situation. But I think Kanye was doing it because he felt like he was going through depression at the time. And I know people throw around um, the depression offense a lot, because no, I don't think anyone knows the actual truth definition of depression. But if you find your local therapist, I know they might have tests for therapists to help you with your depression. Sometimes medicine doesn't work, but I did want to say there are the psychic.org. They have a full association of what depression really is, of like the symptoms of depression. Um, for the sake of people that say, "Well, I don't know if I have depression." It's extreme. It's about extremely sadness. You don't have any interest in anything. Um, the things you were interested in, you don't really care for anymore, which is a bad thing, but it can also lead to other worse things than just the depression. So I do want to say, if you have depression or are going through it, um, go seek help. And I know people are like, well, how can I go seek help when the medical system or whatever um, is terrible? Now, I know that is another thing that I think Kanye mentioned it many times, right? Um, where it's just the medical system isn't. isn't the best for a lot of people. And as he says, if you're not a celebrity, you're not getting celebrity treatment, which I think that's bad. I think anybody that comes to the hospital should be able to get the treatment that they need for literally anything. Um, but it's just the way. I think that's capitalism. I think that's the thing. I think it's just the love of money. I think that's just the thing. I think people, if you have a certain status or you have enough amount of money, people see you differently, which, and that might not necessarily be true, but I think that's how a lot of people feel. I know some Americans do feel that way. So he has also violent crimes where he just talks about stuff that he would do, and then no mistakes, that he doesn't want to make mistakes really. And I think that's the thing. Kanye, and he releases this little single that doesn't get any airtime or any play, where I'm not really going to talk about the main categories of it. I'm going to just say go listen to Ye and the People starring T.I., where he says in the song, isn't that what Kanye normally does anyway? I go against the norm. And that's true. Kanye has always went against the norm to give the people outside the norm a statement or a voice. And I think over time Kanye has realized that if he doesn't give people a voice, people will not listen. And I think he also realizes that with his status, he can say what he wants to say, and people are gonna listen. Now, some people may hate it, some people may love it, for that simple reason alone, I don't think Kanye is crazy. I think Kanye is very passionate on people. He's very people oriented. Like, he released 2 Donda release parties in Atlanta so people could listen to it and make tweaks about it, right? And that stadium is not cheap. But I think overall, if we look at Kanye's catalog of music, I think it's not that he's crazy, but I think it's just that he's very passionate of people, that whatever the situation is, if they're not getting enough recognition or they're not even part of this conversation, he's gonna use his platform and his status to get them people a voice, which I think isn't a bad thing. I think there are issues where people do need voices for climate change, for a lot of things, you know. I think overall people believe that children should be protected. I think children. I think that's become like understandable. But what I'm saying is Kanye's never been crazy, right? Like, Kanye has been that person where, and I think that's the thing. If you want another side of an opinion that's very popular, you can always go to Kanye, hear him out, and then look for it yourself. And then you might understand it, but you might not. You might just call him straight crazy. But I don't think he's crazy. And I think that is my thing. So I wouldn't call him crazy, but we could use the word foolish if you think what he's saying is nonsense. But it's always good to hear 2 sides of a story. And I think with Kanye's status, he's able to do that. And people are able to look at it and go, you know what? That makes a little sense. I don't necessarily agree with him, but, it's a good way to start a discussion. I just think he's very passionate. I think he's passionate of what... He's very passionate. He wants everyone to hear both sides of an argument before people make their opinions on it. Because the media is a 24 news cycle, I think that's why he does it the way he does it. And no one does it better than him, but that does not make him crazy to me. It just makes him very passionate and crazy are sometimes a good combo, but I think he's just very more passionate than anything else. So I just think that's what it is. Like, I think there's a video of Kanye saying he likes to be in suit because he can be himself, right? Like, Kanye's very passionate about being himself. So that old Kanye we heard when he was extremely hurt, he's changed. It's been years from that. The money, the things he's been able to do, it probably made him happier. So I don't expect Kanye to always be on one side of everything. He could be, because people are different. People aren't just one-sided, one-dimensional. They're very much different dimensional. So I don't understand. So I think that's my thing. My thing is, I can't call Kanye crazy. And some of the stuff he might say is nonsense or foolishness, but I can't say he's crazy. He's in his right mind. He's just very passionate about certain things that a lot of people don't agree with.